Humanity's most dangerous enemies have always been invisible and unpredictable.
Smallpox, 20th century.
500 million deaths.
Spanish flu, 1918.
50 million deaths.
SARS, 2003. Economic cost, $54 billion.
H1N1, 2009. $5 billion cost to Mexican tourism alone.
Ebola, 2015. 11,310 deaths.
Zika, 2016. $3.5 billion cost to global economy until now.
Fear,
Panic.
free fall.
Where will the next epidemic originate?
What price will we pay?
Epidemics are impossible to predict,
The next epidemic will come,
but nobody knows when.
and nobody knows where.
Infectious disease outbreaks are occurring all the time. Most are quickly contained, but despite modern medicine, epidemics continue to pose a challenge. We sent our correspondent Sarah Navisi to any country to investigate rumors of a number of mysterious deaths in one of the world's most popular tourist destinations.
Touristville lies at the heart of a mountain range in the eastern part of any country. Most of any country's 8 million inhabitants live in one of the three main cities: Capital City, Touristville, and Rivertown. Touristville is the unofficial capital of any country and attracts large numbers of tourists from around the world. Despite its income from tourism, agriculture, and the mining industry, the average household income is just $98 per month, and the health system is weak. The hospital in Touristville is treating a series of cases of an unidentified respiratory disease. 18 people have been affected so far, and 10 have died. The doctors suspect an infectious disease but cannot identify it. Standard treatment has little effect. 6 of the 10 people who have died were healthcare workers who were infected while treating patients from the surrounding mountain area. The health authorities have not yet made any official statement about the unusual concentration of cases at the local hospital. This is Sarah Navisi reporting from Touristville.
Let's bring in Richard Walker. He's in Touristville right now. Richard, what can you tell us? What's the situation in any country?
Well, Lily, we are seeing more patients than usual from the Blue Sky Mountain, the rural mountain area, arriving here at the hospital in Touristville. According to the nursing staff, a few patients have been treated for pneumonia-like symptoms over the past few weeks, and they have confirmed that several patients have died. 6 of the dead were healthcare workers, so the staff are extremely worried about being infected. The source of the infection remains unknown.
What about the government of any country?
The government of any country has been very reluctant to make an official statement, but apparently it has now confirmed to the WHO that there's an unusually high number of cases. Some observers say that the government has refused external help from the WHO.
Let's look in more detail at why a country like any country might be reluctant to share information about such events. Kathleen Carter has the story.
Outbreaks of infectious disease come at a price, and for the economy of any country, this outbreak could be a matter of life and death.
Any country is an important agricultural producer in the region and exports many products to the G20 countries, including rare earth elements. So, if a country acknowledges a public health emergency during its very early stages, other countries, they may react unpredictably out of fear the disease might spread. For example, they may impose travel restrictions or import bans on certain goods. But without its export earnings, any country would lose a substantial source of income.
What we are seeing here is a clash between national economic interests and international health security interests. The law requires countries to report unusual events of potential international concern to the World Health Organization and to follow its recommendations in times of crisis. This is part of the international health regulations. If countries ignore their obligations under international law, they may miss the window of opportunity to contain an epidemic in its early stages and to protect their economy.
Hello and welcome to World News. My name is Lily Zen. The unidentified disease that was first observed in any country last month has now been reported in Nextdoria, which borders any country to the east. After initial reluctance to verify reports and to collaborate, any country's government has now allowed an international assessment team to enter the country. The team is supported by WHO and will help the local authorities to investigate. Let's bring in a member of the assessment team that is currently in any country. Welcome. What is the role of an assessment team and what exactly are you doing?
Our first task is to meet the local public health authorities and get an overview of the situation on the ground. As well, we need to continue with our investigations of the outbreak itself, and we need to do a needs assessment of the capacities needed, the clinical, epidemiological, and laboratory capacities that are needed for us to mount an effective response.
What can you tell us more about the cause? Is it a virus and where did it come from?
We believe that the epidemic originated in the remote, rural, mountainous area on the border between any country and Nextdoria. This is a difficult to access area, and we suspect that the pathogen is being spread in the busy market areas along the border.
An unidentified disease has been affecting young and old alike. And today, we have had official confirmation of the nature of the disease. It seems it is a new respiratory virus, which experts have named the MARS virus, Mountain-Associated Respiratory Syndrome virus.
Initial laboratory tests have revealed that the new virus belongs to an unknown family of respiratory viruses. It's probably transmitted directly from person to person via airborne droplets or contaminated surfaces and causes shortness of breath, fever, and a dry cough. Many patients require intensive care, many die. Research facilities worldwide are offering their help. What they need right now are samples of the virus for research purposes and for developing diagnostics and countermeasures.
The next step will be to analyze the virus more thoroughly and to develop ways of diagnosing and treating it, and if possible, a vaccine. But for this, we rely on receiving samples and access to any available data.
And of course, we ask ourselves, should we worry? With me is Cho Chang, a health expert who specializes in epidemic control. Looking at any country, how do you assess the situation?
Any infectious outbreak must be taken seriously. In our interconnected world, a risk anywhere can rapidly become a risk everywhere. To contain an outbreak, you need functional hospitals with trained staff. You need labs to confirm a diagnosis. And you need a surveillance system that is capable of detecting cases. If a health system cannot provide these services reliably, further spread of an outbreak is inevitable.
Breaking news, the health crisis in any country is spreading globally. First cases confirmed in our country. Fear and panic rise. Stock markets are falling. Flights have been suspended.
We bring you breaking news of the first confirmed case of the virus in our country. Welcome to World News. My name is Lily Zen. Hospital officials state that the patient is being kept in isolation. The 42-year-old man is thought to have contracted the virus while on holiday in any country. When he developed symptoms of the virus, the patient was immediately admitted to the hospital's isolation ward, and samples were taken for laboratory analysis to confirm the diagnosis. Several hundred people have already died of MARS in any country, and the number of new cases is still rising. Any country has been forced to declare a national emergency. 27 confirmed cases are reported all around the world. The WHO Emergency Committee is holding a meeting in Geneva and preparing to give a press conference as we speak.
Hello and thank you for joining us.
And I'm hearing right now that we can now go directly to the press conference.
Based on the recommendation of the Emergency Committee, I am declaring the MARS outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. We are seeing the spread of the epidemic far beyond national borders, and there is the need for an international response. The recommended control measures, such as strict hygiene practices, identification of infectious cases, and adequate use of personal protective equipment, must be enforced. At this point, the Emergency Committee is not recommending any travel or trade restrictions.
Thank you. We're now open for questions. Please.
Jim Smith from News Corp. Why do you say that? Isn't it risky to allow free travel?
There is no evidence, no experience that such measures would be effective. On the contrary, such measures would unnecessarily disrupt travel and trade.
The MARS virus is thought to have originated in the mountain region surrounding Touristville in any country, a popular tourist destination and important producer of rare earth elements from adjacent mining sites. Daily flight connections transport both tourists and goods to and from any country. At the airport is my colleague Robert Mills. The most recent flight from any country landed just an hour ago. Robert, now that we are dealing with the first case of MARS infection on our soil, what's the situation at the airport?
The situation here is quite chaotic. Reporters are here to speak to travelers returning from any country. Many are quite relieved to have left any country. Here are some of their opinions.
I couldn't travel with my family because there just weren't enough available seats. I hope they'll be able to come tomorrow, and I hope even more they won't be infected. We are so relieved we got out in time before they started canceling flights. Isn't that what they always do in these situations?
They should get everyone out of there and just close the borders.
There seems to be quite a lot of concern among the citizens at this point. We ask you to be part of the discussion on MARS. Let's have a brief look at what users have posted on social media. Close the borders to any country and let's protect ourselves seem to be very frequent reactions. People are worried about the global spread of diseases. Others are asking why MARS could cause such an outbreak, like this user, who sees the real culprit in any country's poverty. Many posts express people's fear of being infected with the MARS virus, like this one. Oh my God, do I have MARS? As we know, the virus is transmitted by droplets. We produce these droplets by breathing, talking, sneezing, and coughing. The question is how we can protect ourselves from a MARS infection and what we can expect from our government.
They can't even control a tiny virus. It's ridiculous.
Just ban all products from the region and close the borders. Why is that so difficult? The government doesn't care about health issues at all.
It has been 3 months since the first news of MARS reached us from Touristville in any country. Since then, each day has brought more unsettling news on the situation. Julia Anderson looks back for us.
January. Patient 0 is infected and dies. The virus spreads rapidly in any country's weak health system. March. Any country is severely criticized for reporting late and therefore delaying an effective response. Any country formally requests more international assistance. May. First cases are confirmed. Through international efforts, the speed of the outbreak is noticeably reduced. Still, fear is spreading, and stock markets are in freefall. Stefan Bork works for the NGO Help Direct.
At the beginning of the outbreak, things were getting out of control, but as soon as the international response kicked in, equipment and people started coming in and the situation improved. Our current impression is, however, that funds and the interest in this epidemic are decreasing. It's very frustrating. I'm not sure where this is heading.